ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock and practicing necromancer. And today I'm going to bring you a video that is going to probably blow your mind and piss you off. Most likely, it will piss off the right winged fascists. Guarantee that. But you know what? I don't care. The truth is what the truth is. Okay? Heather Hammer, good evening. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's 10:14 p.m. where I am, so it's almost midnight. By about hour and 46 minutes. Meridian time, devil's hours. So I'm actually looking forward to midnight, so because I'll be here by myself, and I'm going to be hitting the ritual chamber pretty hard between midnight and 3 NT. So you know. And I'm probably gonna have to shave pretty soon because my beard is starting to mess with my nose. uh, but anyways, so over the last few weeks, I've been really hitting the books. I've been meditating a lot, and I've been doing a lot of studying. I've pulled away from society for a reason. Okay. Namely because of the fact that society really does not interest me that much. Okay. And it's interesting because I've had a lot of people look at me lately and say, "Who do you think's going to win this war between Ukraine and Russia?" Or, they'll come, "Who's going to win the next political upheaval?" For office and everything. And it's like, I don't care. You know, I just don't care. It does not interest me. So it's ironic how this happens because the more rites that I do within the ritual chamber and working with the spirits that I work with. It's interesting how they put forth assignments to you. And and what do I mean by assignments? Think of it like being in grade school or college. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's the spirits that you're working with or your teachers or your elders. When they come to you and they give you an assignment, and in a lot of cases it would be like something out of oh, what's that Tom Cruise movie there, Mission Impossible. It's up to you if you wish to undergo this assignment. You have 30 seconds before this disc explodes. Oh no. You know what I'm saying? One of those type of things, but it's not without that little explosion thing or that little poof of smoke. It's more of the fact that they give you the opportunity to advance yourself in your knowledge. Okay. So when a teacher or a spirit gives you an assignment and you undergo that assignment, it's to help you evolve. It is to help you mature, okay, and to grasp your own practices even further. Now, I've been a practicing necromancer for about 3 to 4 years, full time the last 3 years. Okay, so about a year or so ago, my elder came to me and put forth an assignment. Okay, and I did this. Okay, and the reason I did this is because I've always been fascinated with the land of sorcerers. Okay, this is Egypt. But every time you delve into necromancy in Egypt, it always jumps back to Roman or Greek. And what it came down to was certain key phrases that would help you to gain a foothold into that country. Okay. So when I did this, I was delving into medical procedures. I was over the last 3 to 400 years. I was going as far back as the 6th century, the Hexa. And it was interesting because I came across so much within the formulation of different etymologies, different terminologies, even of what a necromancer is and does, especially from a perception. Okay. So we're going to take a little look at history here. Okay. And as I put down below in the box, the areas that I've studied, okay, that I'm delving into and continuing to delve into on my own free will, my own free, um, how should I say this? Responsibility, I guess you could say. Okay. Because this area really does interest me. I've actually applied to 3 different colleges. I'm 42 years old, and I'm going back to school for Phanetology, okay? And it was interesting because when I came across the medical practice of Thanatology, it really caught my attention. At first, it was something that I thought was cool, and it would go great with my ministry, my minister's license. But when I started delving into this practice, it really opened my eyes. Okay, how it goes along with being professional. How should I say this? You work as a consultant for like hospice or CNA type work. You are a psychologist, basically. You can run a long-term living care, or you can be a mortician. You can be a funeral home director. You work closely with death, and you basically form your career surrounding death and dying. Basically, the how should I say this? The Bardo Fidal, the art of dying, as it was once called. Today, it's known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, I recommend that you look into that, and if you do get into the Tibetan Book of the Dead, then you might want to also get involved in the 5 essays that were not included in that. See, I didn't know about that at the time that I actually got that book from the library, my local library. They had to actually send off for it. So here it is. This actually led me into the Shem priesthood. Okay. But before I ended up getting into the Shem priesthood, I was watching a video by Frank White. Okay. The founder and elder of the Serpent of the Grails. And I took a chance on it and I asked him, I said, what do you know about Egyptian necromancy, source wise? And he actually replied to me and said, check out the Shem priesthood. And so I actually I spent the next month, researching this priesthood and various different priesthoods and cults. And I finally found them. It was SEM priesthood. Okay. And what was interesting about this was this led me into the Green Emerald in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Okay. And you will see where this comes in just a little while. Okay. So before, as I was getting into all this, I ended up learning about you know, the different gods and goddesses within the Egyptian pantheon, specifically Isis. I always saw her as the mother of witchcraft. Okay. But how little did I know that I actually just scratched the surface of her mythos. She's actually the individual goddess who stands between life and death itself. Okay. She's the one that resurrected Osiris, her mate. Okay. She's closely associated with Anubis, the jackal headed god of the dead. He's the protector of the realm of the dead. Okay. He's the one that stands on the platform and ushers in the line of undead souls. Okay. He even had a cult. Okay, a cult. And it's known as the Cult of Anubis. This led me into the cult of Isis, the cult of Artemis, the cult of Hades, and so forth, and to modern day Santa Morte. Okay. And we all know about how drug dealers and cartels utilize her for fear factor effects. But we also know from the culture how people literally associate and worship her in a wide range of things, from healing to protection to ridding oneself of an enemy. You name it, it's there. Okay. So when I started getting into Thanatology, I started going down through books. I started going down through etymologies and terminologies, and I did this not just as a scientific perspective, but also a practitioner's perspective. Okay, so I'm going to read you my notes. I've got a little bit more than 6 pages here, and I think you'll like it because you're going to see where I'm going with this once I'm done. So, Thanatology is derived from the Greek mythological lord of death known as Thanatos. Okay, and that is the English suffix translated into the Greek suffix meaning speaking, is the practice and studying of the art of dying. Basically, to be more blunt, it is the studying of the mechanisms and forensic aspects revolving around the bodily changes as the body dies, such as within cause and method of the shutdown within, is referred to as the postmodern period. Okay. Greek word for thanatology within the language showing is thanatos, as the personification of death itself. The ology is the English suffix derived from the Greek suffix logia, meaning to speak or speaking. Okay, then right there alone is associated with necromancy. Okay, when we get into the etymology and the terminology of necromancy, we see modern day necromancy, meaning divination by corpse divination. Okay, and this is done through the grimoire system, from, say, for an example, Francis Barrett, the Magus, or that of, say, Eliphas Levi, the Doctrines of High Magic. Okay. Um, let's see. We can even go into the Grand Grimoire Red Dragon. We can go into spiritual conjurations, such as the Black Raven, also known as the Threefold Coercion of Hell, the Sacred Magic of Abraham the Mage, or that of, say, oh, I don't know, let's go with Richard Cavendish, okay? The Black Arts, okay? All of these works speak to two forms of necromantic rites. Reanimation, basically meaning you're either guiding or invoking or evoking a spirit into its former corpse or to a different corpse for divining purposes. That's reanimation of a corpse. Okay. And then you have conjuration. Conjuration, on the other hand, is where you bring forth an apparition into full manifestation. Okay. So those are the two forms of speaking with the dead, okay, of practice through ceremonial or ritualized, okay. So that's necromancy for you. However, let's go back 500 years to 1,000 years ago. We have the Roman definition of this. The Roman definition of necromancy is called nigromancy, okay, the art of black magic. And this is where the Catholic Church, the Vatican, got their suffix from. Okay. And they basically defined witchcraft by four major things: witchcraft, necromancy, divination, and possession. Okay. Now you know where demonic possessions come from. Okay. So the art of black magic is the practice of summoning spirits for divining purposes. Okay. And this brings us back to about 1500 years ago to Nicaea. Nicaea is also closely resembling that of shamanism, where the practitioner has one foot in the grave and the other foot in the world. Okay, they're known as the spiritual ambassadors between spirits and humans. Okay, and this is where you basically commune, speak with, okay, theology aspects of speaking or to speak with the dead. Okay, Nicaea allows you to do that. Okay, so Phanetology was created in 1903 by a Russian scientist by the name of Eli Michnikov, who was a microbiologist. He established a process known as phagpictosis. I probably just butchered that word, which I'm pretty sure I did because it's a pretty good word. It's a pretty good sized word. Based off of his main study of microbiology, referred to as solid particle, which is the infernal counterpart known as phagosome, which was based off two subjects, which are thanatology and gerontology. Okay. Now, this is what's interesting about this. But this practice did not become popular until around 1970s, specifically between 1970 and 1974 after Vietnam. Okay. Where people had come down with the grieving persona after the loss of life within World War II leading up to Vietnam. The idea was that people did not know how to come to terms with such a large number of lives snuffed out, okay, during this period. According to the World Health Organization, thanatology has no real connection to relations within what they are in the medical field called palliative care. Okay, let's look at palliative care for an example. Palliative care is basically associated with CNAs, RAs. Okay, you're basically the low man on the fucking totem pole, right there. That's how little that they look at you. It would be like a doctor or an RN looking at you, a charge nurse looking at you and telling you what to do. Basically, you are the butt monkey for them. You're the ass wiper. You're this and that. Okay. However, thanatology has come so far since then. Okay. So let me finish here. Which means today, or I should say, compared to certified nurses' aides, CNA, and that of hospice, which works solely with the living and not the dead. Okay, this is where we go from the Egyptian Book of the Dead to the Bardo Fadal. Okay, the Art of Dying. It is the Tibetan Book of the Dead, basically today. And this is more of the soul's journey from the time you're born to the time you die. Okay, think of terminal ill um, patients. Okay, when you get a disease that's going to kill you, like cancer or AIDS or hell, let's go with a more common thing today with COVID-19. Okay, it's basically the study of this. It comes down to okay, the five stages of grieving. Okay, and you'll see this in just a few minutes as well. So, yet thanatology has more to in common with psychology instead of, say, the meaning of life. Today we have many programs and courses that comforts the families, communities, and the terminally ill themselves. Okay. The fact that thanatology plays along with so many types of jobs, ranging from, say, the coroner, law enforcement, criminal analysis, ministry, down to forensic science, is quite a study indeed for the practitioner of necromancy to understand. Okay. And I even put some a whole bunch of other things, such as books. You have Mortality, Volume 27, Issue 1. This actually came out this year. Um, the Journal of Loss and Trauma, October 1979 to January 2000. It's had a few additions to it. Illness, Crisis, and Loss came out this year. American Journal of Hospice and Palliative Care Medicine, Volume 39, Issue 3. This was 1971 and 2017 editions. Death Education and Counseling, which is basically the oldest format in that. Links that you can actually get into is Omega, Journal of Death and Dying, Death Studies, Mortality, Trans Actional Analysis Journal, Death and Dying Award nominated 2018, and Endgame, the Netflix documentary. Professional sources: activist Shoshana R. Ungerleider, she's a doctor, and B.J. Miller, an American physician and author and spokesman. Okay. References: academic, humanities, social sciences, aka psychology, sociology, both death and disaster. Um, as how should I say this? Procreation for Death Education and Counseling, which was again 1976. Fascination with Death, Taboo, Against Naming the Dead, Thana Topsis, Thanatosensitivity, Thanatos, Medical Jurisprudence, Grief, Forensic Anthropology, and Forensic Toxicology. Modern thanatologists today are consultants for hospice care and as death douls, literally DOULES, etc., down to psychologists who focus upon a variety of social and ethical questions. Definitions and terminology, things that I've actually been looking up and getting more, apotheosis on. Necrology, okay? And if you go into your modern dictionary, my dictionary is actually the Webster. I believe it came out in this one here actually came out in, I want to say, between '09 and '12. It was back before I actually came to Maine. So it's been a while. It's been like a decade. So I'm pretty sure that my better half is correct and they've come out with a couple more editions. So I'll look into that later. But for now, definitions and terminology. Necrology, a list of people who have died in a certain period of time. Okay. Necro, meaning corpse or dead tissue. Necros, meaning dead body and physical death. Necrobiosis, process of decay and the death of the body's cells. Necrolatry, recurrence of and worship of the dead and deceased. Remember when I mentioned cults? The cult of Isis, the cult of Anubis, the cult of Hades, the cult of Artemis. Okay, these cults exist. They existed. Okay, and even today, you've got the world's religions who worship spirits. Okay, be it jinn, be it demons, be it pantheon gods, or a dead man on a cross. Either way, this terminology right here, necro, um, necrolatry, applies. Okay, necromancy, divination by means of corpses through reanimation and conjuration of occult means, communication with ancestral spirits, black magic, and sorcery. Okay, now these next few, a lot of people get wrong. Okay, so I want to clear these ones up. Necrophagia, okay? Eating the flesh of corpses and the dead. The practice of feeding on carrion. Okay, think of cannibalism. Okay, ironically, cannibalism is legal in the United States, but yet we've got all these laws against defilement of corpses. I find it humorous. Okay, necrophilia. See, a lot of people when you hear that terms today, especially in the occult means, is people who are so deranged that they think it's about laying with a corpse. They think it's about having relations with corpses. This is not true, okay? Because if they actually took the time to actually look up the definition of what it means, necrophilia is actually an abnormal fascination with the dead, the attraction of corpses. Basically, you want to know about them, you want to study them, okay? Necrophobia, the fear of the dead and of corpses. Necropolis, okay? Cemetery, city of the dead, one who belongs to an ancient city. Okay, think of the Aztecs, the Mayans. Okay, think of the Egyptians, the tombs in the pyramids. King Tut's tomb, prime example. Okay, this applies to that. Necropsy, that's Necropsy. Examination of corpses and dead bodies. Autopsy, postmortem. Necrosis. Okay. Huh. Should really number these pages, really. Okay, here we are. 11, 12. Okay. Uh, to make dead the death or decay of tissue in a particle or particular part of the body as within the loss of blood, basically hemomancy. Supply, burning and or frost of the plant tissues as from deceased. Necrotizing, of or having to do with the necrosis process. Necrotomy, the the dissection of corpses, the autopsy and or the surgical removal of dead bones. Now, you remember I mentioned the Egyptian Book of the Dead? You consider they did autopsies. They removed organs. Okay. They removed four main organs that they believed the spirit would need if they ever returned to their body. The mummification process. The Shem priesthood were responsible for the autopsies, the removal of organs. They were responsible for the cleansing of the vessel. They were responsible for the mummification and the embalming process of the rites that were associated with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, necrotomy was what they did. Nectar, that's Nectar. And I found this one very intriguing because of the fact that it's basically the drink of the gods and associated with overcoming death. Now, you look at what necromancy is about. It is about lichdom. It is about becoming a lich. It is about becoming a necromancer, becoming one with death. Okay, and it's this is a long process, and I'm not going to get into that, namely because I'm not permitted to. But at least at this time, so I'll leave that one there. So the terminologies fit into the etymology as well, ranging well into the past. Number one, lich. That's Lich. The lich has many spellings from various languages. Archaic meaning corpse, just like the Old English. Middle English, lich. Old English, lich, with just a C, not the H at the end. Proto West Germanic, Lik, lik, Proto Germanic, Licca. Proto-European, Lig, which is spelled Leyg. Okay. Dutch, the Lijk, Lijk is how that's spelled. The German Lich, okay, that's Leiche. Norwegian Lik, Lik. Swedish, same spelling. Danish Lig, Lig. Okay, and here it is broken down into two aspects of view: the objective Lik terms, which is the commemorative, and that of the super how should I say this super lattice, okay, which is the lick as in the Lich. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is the historical view, where there are two good sources to explore. In 1386 to 1390, John Gerwin, in his Confessio Amantis, said, Anon he let two coffers make, of one resemblance, and of one make so lick, that no life, and let's just say the spelling is atrocious. Okay. I don't even know how they were able to read this crap. you know, and I'm using the term crap lightly because let me just give you a little example of what I mean. Instead of coffers, it's Cofres. Okay. And instead of life, they left off the E. And and then you have the words like Thilke. Okay. So you see what I mean by atrocious spellings. And throw with an E at the end. That one may throw, that other no with an E at the end. Okay. Then in 1590, Edmund um, Plancer in his The Fairy Queen, which was took place in London, for John Wolfe, for William Ponsonby with an BIE at the end, and his OCLC 96010298, Book 3, Cameo 7, page 29, he rather joyed to be then seaman Sich, SICH, for both to be and seem with an E at the end. To him was Lebor, that's that's Lebor, lick, okay, as in the Lich. This brings to through the modern terminology lick, meaning corpse, within the noun lick, okay, and lichnim, and that of body being translated into corpore, body, carosserie, lib, organ, lick, and finally cadaver. Basically, the lick and cadaver, okay, with a K, not the C. Middle High German, you have Lice, Lich, Lih, body, shape, and figure. The Lich and Lichian, meaning dead body, corpse, cadaver, and carcass. And this brings us to the Pennsylvania German noun Lick without the E at the end, in the plural Lich, as in Leich. Okay. And then you can go into the Russian aspect of Glick. Okay, because Lick and Glick are both the Russian and German pronunciations, which you might want to get into both Germanic and Slavic witchcraft if you want to get into the necromancy aspects of that. Okay. The word is also seen within different languages and spellings as well. We have the Middle High German. We see Gelick, which is Gelich. Old High German, we see Geli with Gilih, but and it's also has the what do you call those little comma like things, with the two capitalized H's in between them. Teutonic, we see Glick or Glear, which is Glikr. Gothic, Galix, we see the same spelling. Old Icelandic, we see the same spelling. Anglo-Saxon, we see the same spelling. English, we see the Gaelic, which is Gelijk. Dutch is spelled the same way. Old Saxon, we see Gaelic, which is Gilik. And this brings us to the modern German, where we see Lick and Leech, depending upon male or female Weeblick terms being translated differently depending upon the meaning. For an example, we have Welcher and Solcher, both meaning describe a part of the body, basically the kind of body or the part of a body, like the anatomy, so to speak. So when we look at the modern society, when people ask, why would you want to sell your soul to the devil? Why would you want to go to hell? Well, why would you want to believe a lie? Why would you want to be a slave to society? And you consider the Vatican is richer than the Queen of England. They own their own police force, their own city. They have armed guards, for crying out loud. Okay? We're talking about an international conglomerate, okay, from different denominations designed to keep you in servitude. You look at the government's perspective. There is no peace in war. There is no profit in war, in peace, basically. So when we look at the profit, no profit in peace, why do you think they always go to war when they talk about peace? We want a diplomatic, solution, but yet the first thing they do is fire a nuke or a missile at somebody. They open fire. They load up their military and they go to a different country to enslave it. You look at how the governments are designed. The politicians being greedy, power hungry, their job is to create laws that their legal systems, such as Homeland Security, Department of Defense, CIA, NSA, Department of Justice, the DOJ, you have the police, the FBI, the ATF, all the way down to your local police departments, which job is to enforce different aspects of the legal system. Okay, these laws. And if you're not dealing with that, then you get the brainwashing effect of the populace to deal with. These sentinels that have been brainwashed for generations and eons that literally believe in lies. The Judeo Christian institutions who's enslaved the world. When's the last time you had the ability to go out and actually speak your mind outside of your church or even in your church without becoming a heathen, a devil worshiper, being threatened with eternal fire, being burned alive for all eternity? And you ask me if I care who's going to win the next political debate or who's going to win between Ukraine and Russia? No, I could care less. I got more important things to do with my time. The reason for that is because the entire system is made for one purpose: to keep you in servitude, to keep you in fear. Even the media outlet holds sway over your way of thinking. It's made and designed to spew half truths. What ifs? I mean, you look at all these debates online. You look at Biden's recent, you know, news conference, for an example. You know, well, we've stopped air, planes from coming into the United States. Our allies are limiting, denying Russian airplanes from coming into our space, yada yada yada. But wait, he doesn't know this yet. Wow, really? Isn't that called duality? You're just telling him exactly what you're doing. And yet you're literally lying to yourself and the people, stating, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he doesn't know anything about this yet. You just told him. Morons. So this is the system is basically hypocrisy and duality. It's damned if you do and damned if you don't. You have free will, but yet if you break the law, you go to prison. You got all these laws against defiling corpses, but yet cannibalism is legal. Hmm. There's freedom of religion, but yet you're still being condemned, limited, and portrayed as being evil. You speak your mind, and you're called a devil. You're called evil. You're called an antichrist. All because you dare to follow the witch's creed, which is to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent, and to go forth. You know what I'm saying? You dare to speak your mind. You dare to speak truth. You show numerous different sources, and you get nothing but hate in return. You see, this is why I pulled back from social media. That's why I don't correspond with many people. I keep my circle small. The reason for that is because it keeps out drama, it keeps out dogma. And it allows you to be who you truly are. So, the question you need to ask yourself as warlocks, as witches, is what matters to you? What other people think, what they expect of you, or what you expect of yourself? Is this not a path of individualism? Is it not a solitary path of self mastery, self evolution, self apotheosis? Are you not responsible for your own education, your own practices? Are you not allowed to live for you and your ways? Think about all this the next time you think about necromancy or the left hand path, what it means to be a warlock, a bokor, a kaplata, a maramberos, a darak, the proverbial bad guy. Have a good night. I want to thank Heather Hammer for jumping on here with me. I hope you learned a lot. Hope you became enlightened over the gnosis And I hope you look at the world in a whole new light. Education is the biggest thing out there for you, for any of you. We have the internet. We live in a time of enlightenment. Knowledge is literally a keystroke away. You can go to your nearest library and pick up a book. Who cares what other people think? Just be you. And if you're going to speak on something, always back up what you preach with numerous sources. And always make yourself available to the public. Have a good night.